Right now, hundreds of military families have orders that say Redstone Arsenal, and most of them are Googling, where do I even live? And they're doing this at midnight, completely overwhelmed and losing sleep over it. We've helped a lot of those families find their home here in North Alabama, and there's something nobody tells you until you're already in process. So we're gonna go over all of that now. I'm Erick Leiva with the Vista Group at RealBroker, and we've helped tons of military families relocate to the North Alabama region, and Redstone is one of the assignments where the housing decision actually matters more than most other places. A business partner, Kyle Williams, actually grew up in this area, and he's seen this base grow, and what's happening now in 2026 is bigger than what most people even realize. So let's get into it. If you're PCSing the Redstone Arsenal, you probably already heard, live in Madison. Madison has great schools. It's a great location, but it's not the only answer. And depending on your situation, it might not even be the right one for you. Madison is the default because of the schools, and we'll get to that later. The commute to the main gate is about 15 to 20 minutes, but Harvest and Meridianville also have great school zones, and in a lot of cases, you're looking at a lot more land for less money. Then there's Athens. That's about 25 to 30 minutes to the Redstone Arsenal, depending on which gate you're using. If you want new construction at a lower price point, that's where a lot of families are actually landing right now. I'd actually push back a little on the closer is always better instincts. If you're working a normal duty schedule, an extra 10 minutes for a bigger lot and a lower mortgage payment is usually worth it. Not everyone has to be 5 minutes from the gate. Now here's where it actually gets specific, because the number that matters most for a PCS move is going to be your BAH, and what it buys changes a lot depending on where you're going to land. Across the board, your BAH actually goes further here than it does in a lot of the bigger military markets. That's part of why Huntsville continues to show up on the best places to PCS lists. The thing we always tell people is don't assume your BAH number at your last duty station applies here. Look it up fresh for specific Huntsville area before you start house hunting, because guessing that wrong either way, higher or lower, is gonna cost you. Money's only half the equation though. The other half, especially if you've got kids, is schools. That's honestly the question we get asked the most. If you're coming from a district that's already used to military transfers, you're going to notice schools handles it pretty well. They're used to kids arriving in the middle of the school year, and the transfer process is about as smooth as it possibly can be. Your next decision is new construction versus resale. And for PCS timelines specifically, the decision might look a little bit different than a regular buyer. New construction is everywhere right now, and it's tempting, but if your report date is firm and your timeline slips even past 6 weeks, it can put you in a really tough situation. That's the biggest mistake we've seen. If you've got a hard report date, resale gives you certainty. New construction can absolutely work, but only if you've got flexibility built into your timeline, or the home has already been built, so it's just a matter of finalizing your financing. On the loan side, VA loans for both new construction and resale are no problem here. There are a lot of military families in the area, so the VA loan is understood, and we specialize on military families, and using the VA loan is a strong piece of that puzzle. Now here's the part of this that actually is breaking news, let's call it. And it's the reason this video matters more this year than it would have about a year or two ago. Space Command officially began operations at Redstone in April of this year. And that's not a rumor, that's not someday, it's happening right now. And the biggest military growth stories in the country. What that means for you as an incoming family, more personnel, more demand, more overtime growth, and that will create upward pressure on both the rent prices and home purchase prices on the communities closest to the base. If you're PCSing now, then you're getting ahead of all of that. This is also why I'd tell you not to wait for the perfect house to show up, but if you find something that checks all your boxes, maybe it's time to jump on it. This market isn't slowing down, it's absolutely accelerating with plenty of upward pressure on prices for the next decade. Look, Huntsville isn't perfect. Traffic on Memorial Parkway during rush hour is genuinely a rough situation, and it's gotten worse as the the area has grown, but they are working on improving all of that. If a brutal commute is a deal breaker for you, then it's worth being honest with yourself about that before you pick an address. But if you can plan around it, different gate, different commute window, most families who PCS here end up glad that they did. The growth that makes the traffic worse is the same growth that makes this a great long-term value. So if you've got orders for Redstone, drop a comment below and tell me your report date and also which base you're coming from. I read all of the comments and I answer your questions directly. And if this was helpful, subscribe. We cover this and the entire corridor every week. And with everything happening at Redstone right now, there's a lot more coming on this specific topic. We'll see you in the next one.